Hello and welcome to From Row Racing. It's Sunday evening, which means it's time for the PCS, the Project Cars Sunday, round 3 of Season 3. Now, for this evening's event, we are going to be sending the drivers to the Snetterton300 layout of the track for a 28-lap race. Now, we're running a little bit delayed this evening, so I apologise to the viewers and I also apologise to the drivers, but we'll get on to the reasons why in a few moments' time. But what we'll do is we'll send the drivers over to the racetrack as soon as we can. You may have just spotted on the screen there that the weather's not looking too great, and to be honest, I don't think the commentary team's feeling too great today. Now, I'm from Row Racing DP, and joining me in the is James Hulkenberg. How are you this evening, James? Hang on, wait, I can do an impression of you. Oh, my back's gone.
I think I should be renamed James Hunchenberger. I'm feeling that bad. My back, it's doing my head in. But hopefully,
James Broken Backenberger. James Broken Backenberger.
Yeah, I could do some Battenberg, but I tell you, I hope this racing can take the pain away. But the rain is sounds a bit treacherous out there, doesn't it?
Well, this is the thing, I mentioned it a moment ago that the weather was not looking too great, and you know what, it really isn't out there. Now, the drivers, had they done their research, they would have spotted on the Front Row Racing's week ahead post, which is always put out on a Monday evening. It has a forecast for the Project Cars races, and the forecast for Snetterton here was heavy rain with a chance of sun as Woolhouse goes for a spin. So had the drivers checked it, they would have known that they've got to set their car up for a potentially nastily wet race here.
I don't think there's a chance of sun at the moment.
It doesn't look like it, does it? Now we've got a 15-minute qualifying session where the drivers can go out, do as many laps as they can fit in, they can make changes to their cars, they can run whatever fuel levels they like, whatever tyres they like, but I would suggest intermediates or full wet tyres at the moment.
Yeah, it's definitely full wet territory with standing water on circuit.
Definitely. Now, after the 15 minutes, we'll have a 5-minute warm-up session, then we'll get on to the 28-lap race. I will go through the standings quite quickly. I'll go through last week's result from round 2 at Brands Hatch. GBM Beardy, he took the victory. Live Bry came second, Hesselden third, K-Slay 4th, GBM Vectra 5th, Adam 4600 in 6th, GT Gavin 7th, Chris Core 8th, Dave the Harp 9th, Flora Racing RI in 10th, Neo Tig in 11th, Woolhouse in 12th, Driver Montana in 13th, and Jason, unfortunately for Jason last week, he hit an invisible wall under a bridge and his car exploded. He did technically finish 14th, but it was with no points and no wheels left on his car. Well, actually, technically, they've had to completely rebuild a new car because there was no car left. The standings, I'll quickly try and get on to those. James, if you just keep an eye out on who's doing what on track. GBM Beardy, he's leading the way in the standings on 50 points ahead of Live Bry, who's got 40. GT Gavin's in third on 25 points. Then we've got Chris Core on 21, but Chris Core's not racing this evening. Adam 4600 has got 20 points. He too has not got to the track in time. GBM Vectra has also got 20 points, and then we've got Hesselden on 16, Neo Tig on 16, Dave the Harp on 15, K-Slay on 13, Driver Montana on 10, Woolhouse on 10, From a Racing RI on 6, and then we've got Leomo McElroy, G1990 Jonesy. Those two aren't racing this evening, I don't think. They're on 0 points, and so is Jason. Now, something to just quickly mention. Hesselden was having steering issues on Friday in the PCF. I don't know if he's managed to fix those issues. If he hasn't, he's got one hell of a tough fight, a tough race to take part in here this evening. If he's sorted those wheel issues, he could still definitely be a contender in these conditions.
Yeah, we've seen in the PCS he's not been as strong as his PCF performances. And that was before the wheel issues, so if he's still got wheel issues, I'm pretty sure he would have notified us. beforehand.
Quite possibly. For all I know, he may have sent me a message and I've not seen it. We have been a little bit busy before we came live. Well, to be honest, I've spent most of the day at Donington Park and I've managed to get sunburnt on a not very sunny day. That's just the way my luck is. Now, something that is also an issue for all of the drivers is something that's been brought to my attention and a few other people's attention, and that is resetting to track. Now, it's not something that when hosting a lobby you can say, right, disable reset to track. It'd be nice if we would solve the problem, but quite a few of the drivers do feel, James, that being able to reset to track is an issue. But what's your view on it?
Yeah, my view is, in real life, you don't have a reset to track button. So, when I go racing, the last thing I want to do is bomb round the corner, see a car off in the gravel, and then within a millisecond of reset, not only a track, but straight back onto the racing line, which is impeding other people. So I think it's a little bit selfish, and I think drivers just need to take more care when returning to track and think about others.
Yeah, now I know that Jason in the PCF, for example, involved in a collision, and I myself said on commentary, oh, he's done a reset to track. Oh, here comes Richie Day. Oh no, he's hit him. He's done a reset to track. Now, if you're an avid watcher of the Front Row Racing PC Project Cars Racers, you'll know that that's what I said, and that's what it looked like happened. It turned out, though, Jason he actually put a link to his footage of this incident on our Facebook page, and he didn't do a reset to track. He had the collision with the car, did a bit of a barrel roll, a bit of a dance, and his car landed on all four wheels and he drove off. No reset to track done. So the collision, although it looked like a reset to track, technically wasn't one. But the reset to track thing, it is something that it is an issue, and we have mentioned it before. Now I know, James, because I mean, you spoke to me about it, a couple of other people have spoken to me about it, I've spoken to a few people about it. I mean, you don't know that I've done that, but I have, just to get their sort of thoughts and ideas. And I even said, right, give me yes or no answers, and they gave me sentences. So it's not as easy as to just say, right, okay, if you do a reset to track, we'll give you some kind of penalty. But what we have done is, because the reset to track, it is an issue. It is something that really should be looked at in some form or another. Now, I've said it to James and I've said it to a few other people. I've said on broadcast before, we don't want to be going down the route of imposing penalties on these drivers. We just want to let them race. Just let them race. But the reset to track one is that's not racing. That's pushing a button to make your car go from one place to another. So what we've kind of done is we've sent a message to the drivers saying, do not reset to track. It will result in a race ban unless you were on your roof. Right. However, if you were on your roof, you hit reset to track and it plonks you right in front of someone, you might still get a bit of a telling off, but that'll be less likely to get a race ban. But proof would be needed to apply that race ban. So, for example, James, I mean, if you want to describe it, like if you're driving along, what is it that you would make you think, right, I record my race, I'm going to send this bit in to Dave and have a bit of a moan?
Yeah, well, to be fair, what we don't want the Project Cars leagues to turn into what has become the Formula 1 leagues, where somebody has an incident, it takes ages to actually get sorted out, the results get delayed, and that's not what we want. But on the same hand, the last thing we want is other drivers impeding other drivers for the sake of their own track position. Yeah, the collision may have happened and they may have gone off circuit. That may not have been their fault, but that's racing. Unfortunately, that is racing. And what isn't racing is pressing a button and transporting your car from one location to another location. Because the driver behind, if you got to put yourself in their shoes and think, well, you know what, I wouldn't want that to happen to me. So, as the old grandma used to say, just sort of, how would you? I'm trying to reword this, but do to others how the way you'd like to be treated.
As long as it's be treated in a good way. Now, we're going to continue this discussion on a little bit, and we're just going to let the drivers thrash around the track for a little while, because dealing with these kind of situations, it's not as simple as going, right, okay, let's say for example, right, if you do a reset to track, it's a disqualification, right? Here's just a little example of why I've sort of gone away from doing that. I'll tell you what, James, it's getting a little bit sunny out there.
Yeah. It's looking at like a touch of sun might come out.
It is. Okay, why I haven't sort of gone down that kind of route. This is how it works. We do the Project Cars race. Once we've finished, I sort the standings out. It's done. Fantastic. If I do that, and then in the next couple of days I get a message saying, Dave, look at what this guy did. He did a reset to track. I've then got to go and redo the standings. But doing that would mean I would have to be doing that when I'm supposed to be doing, for example, if it happens from a Friday race, that'll happen when I'm meant to be dealing with the Sunday race. Or if it happens on a Sunday race, I could be dealing with it when I should be writing the F1 reviews on a Tuesday. So a simpler way to do it is go, right, okay, if you do it, you're going to get a race ban for the next event, right? That way, it doesn't delay the standings, it doesn't delay me, it's a quicker and easier way to do it. But what I do want to make perfectly clear to all of the drivers is, it is only the reset to track that I will look at. I'm not going to look at it crashes, I'm not going to look at incidents, I'm not going to look at some dodgy stuff that people might do on track. It's only going to be the reset to track. Okay, so if anyone messages me saying, Dave, look at what this guy did, he did a barrel roll and crashed into 5 cars and kept on going, or this guy's got lag, sorry to say, I'm going to suddenly go a little bit temporary Facebook blind on that one and not see those messages. That's about the politest way I could do it. I know we haven't covered everything I would like to have. Me and James, we were talking for about half an hour about this kind of stuff before we came on. We should have saved that conversation for when we were doing commentary here. But, I mean, is there anything there that I've missed, James, that you might know that I wanted to mention?
Well, we did mention about in your normal settings, you can go in and you can deselect reset to track as part of the regulations for competing in FRR Fridays and FRR Sundays. It would be helpful if drivers could remove that and just send it to us and say, I've removed it from my options.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the things that we did discuss. I mean, for example, from Row Racing RI, I was talking to him earlier and he said, I don't have a button assigned to it. And it's like, you know, that's a good idea. But I can't really impose it on all of the drivers to say, right, you have got to deassign this button. I could, but then it goes down the route of, right, now I'm going to need you to prove it, and probably prove it before every event. And that's then going to become a bit of a ball ache, if I'm honest. But it is something that the drivers could do themselves, and it would take away that possibility of just accidentally doing it. But I said to you, Jim, I said, well, what about a guy that ends up on his roof?
Well, the way I look at it is, as unfortunate as it is when you end up on your roof, not many times you watch motorsport, see a car on its roof, and then it miraculously right itself, unless it's James Bond in his Aston Martin.
Yeah, you're about right there. I tell you what, with the weather conditions changing, I'm just wondering if any of the drivers have nipped into the pit lane and put any slick tyres on. None of the drivers in the garage have got enough time to get out and put another lap in. Only those guys who are on track already on a lap can do it. But yeah, I mean, that was one of the things that we discussed. And I also said to you, didn't I? I says, well, It'd be nice if Project Cars had a disable reset to track option. That would be brilliant. But one thing I've asked James to test, and I'll ask all the other drivers, test this while you're doing some practice. Test this, right? Because I don't have the time to test it. Turn ghosting on, right? If it allows you to do wheel-to-wheel racing and have racing contact without ghosting, then this may work. But obviously, if you do a really dodgy move, you're going to wipe people out and it ghosts you, then that might work. Now, if that means that if someone resets to track in front of you, it ghosts them. Okay, Slate, he's going for a spin, he'll wish he was ghosted now and no one can see him. But sadly, we can see you. But yeah, if someone did a reset to track and you could drive straight through them, then that also wouldn't be a problem. But that would only work if, when you're wheel-to-wheel, contact still happens. If it does ghosting all of the time, that one would be completely useless. But I mean, just this discussion, I mean, we've been talking about this for 10 minutes and we haven't even covered everything. It's just given a little bit of an insight into how tricky a simple problem can become. Because one of the things I don't want to do as this session comes to an end, I do not want to say to the drivers, you have to record all of your footage or anything like that. Okay, I'm going to quickly go through the current qualifying standings. GBM Beardy took pole position there with Live Bryce second place, GT Gavin third, K-Slay fourth, GBM Vectra fifth, Hesselden only sixth, Neotig seventh, Richie Davey eighth, David Harp ninth, and Ray locks out the top 10. Okay, we're into a 5-minute warm-up session now, although it's on by the sounds of it, because it's raining again out there. But we're going to continue this conversation on for just a few more moments. Yeah, I do not want to have to say to the drivers, you must record your footage or anything like that. But what I will say is, if I was on the track and I saw a car ahead of me that looked like it had done a reset to track, I would send a message to Front Row Racing on Facebook with @Dave. I should have given someone else's name then. @Dave, PCF or PCS, this guy reset to track at this time on my footage, right? It would have to be done way before the next event, so the guy can be told, you're a naughty boy, you're not going to be racing in the next one. And then that way we can have a look at that and deal with it. But if the guy has got...
We also need to say pictures will not be used, footage only.
Exactly. It's quite funny you say you cheeky son saying again that one. I can't believe you stole that particular line. Now my brother will get the fun of that, the joke of that one. No one else will. Here's the question of the day: who do you think it is that like sending in pictures, going, look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this? Okay. Yeah, the other thing I was going to say was, obviously, if someone sends in footage and says, look at what this guy's done, I'm going to have to message that guy and go, look, I've been told you've done a reset to track. If that guy happens to have recorded his race and goes, hang on a minute, I didn't, then he ain't going to get a penalty. And the reason I mention this is because of what happened to Jason in the PCF. Yeah. It looked like he'd done a reset to track, but when we watched his footage, he hadn't done one. So
yeah, the reason why it looked like it had done a reset to track was the car flipped up in the air and it was obviously travelling at about at least 200 mile an hour, but rather than flipping up in the air and then scraping along the tarmac, flipped up in the air and it literally dug into the ground, and it looked to the naked eye like a reset to track had been done, but unfortunately the gravity system on this game is pretty epic.
Yep. Right, James, because we've talked so much and I've been in a bit of a rush today, I need to go and pop the kettle on. So you've got 2.5 minutes to talk about Woolhouse, who's on the camera.
Woolhouse, here we go. Let's see if I can do a better job than R-Ray did the other night. That was pretty hilarious when he was commentating on me as I was doing practice race starts. Here we go, Woolhouse just heading under the bridge. Then we're heading towards that lovely sausage. Oh, he's sticking out, giving out a wide burst, but it's completely put him off. I don't think I'm going to do a better job than Ray on me on here. Oh, rear end kicking out, Woolhouse. Oh, that is going to have to work on them tyre pressures, lad. So we're back in the garage. Well, Well, folks, yeah. If you want to send a question in, say how great this commentary is, you know, you could send us someone, and you know, you can always donate. The Bank of James is always open, but you know, Dave won't give me any money. But yeah, messages today, the only one I've received is from Davey Arp, and he said tyre wear is absolutely ridiculous. I don't think he's going to be struggling with tyre wear with these wet conditions. I think he's, well, he may do. He may chew up his rear tyres with wet tyres. That may be not what he's looking forward to, but if you can't generate the temperature, he can't scrub them as much, and Woolhouse is back out. He wants to, maybe he's wanting to do a practice start. He's only got 50 seconds to do anything. Maybe he's just done a couple of setup changes and just wants to see if they're working or not, but setup changes is not what you want to be doing 40 seconds before the race. Last thing you want is for your car to handle like a bit of a dog and not remember what you've changed as he goes straight off. The main thing he needs to be doing is braking a touch earlier than he is doing. But yeah, I've got to say, the drivers are certainly earning the money tonight in these wet conditions, but Woolhouse, I don't think he'll get paid if he keeps driving like this. And I hope Dave comes back soon. He's got 10 seconds before the race start, and we have to start without him. So folks, we're getting ready for race start. There was a fair spread between the top 5 drivers, about 5 seconds I think it was, so it may be 2-horse races.
Quite possibly. Now, note for the future, it takes longer than 2.5 minutes for my kettle to boil, so I've got a mildly warm coffee. But I tell you what, James, Hesselden qualifies 6th. Do you think he's still got those wheel issues?
Nah, I think he's been on holiday and not done any practice this week.
Quite possibly. Anyway, it's time for the lights to go green. The drivers to make their way down to turn 1, and we'll get on board with them as early as we possibly can.
Yeah, Beardy is under attack from Livebry down at turn 1. Livebry's up the inside. Beardy turning in. There's the collision, and the 2 front runners have both almost took themselves out. GT Gavin's having a little sniff up the inside, and Livebry leads now from GT Gavin.
It's getting very busy behind them. Bit of contact made. I think driver Montana ended up in the barrier on the start. I don't know whether that was from wheel spin. He's off again in the background, but we're about 3 wide.
GT, yeah, Beard is coming back at GT Gavin for P2. He's on the outside, and Casely's in hot pursuit along with Hesselman. Casely is having a little sniff up the inside of GT Gavin for P3.
Hesselden's under attack.
Given a love tap. Yeah, he's been given a love tap from Neotig, but Neotig's got the smoking Dave the Harp up behind.
And just behind Dave is GBM Vectra in 8th place, from Row Racing RI in 9th, Woolhouse in 10th, driver Montana 11th, Richie Davey 12th, and Jason is in 13th.
Ray's having a little look up the inside of Vectra. Vectra's trying it on the outside. Can Ray keep it up the inside? Yes, he can. He's on traction. He's got cash now, and that cash being put to good use as the traction goes down and them tyres are lit up, and he's in front of Vectra.
Yep, the Wolf has just been passed. Ray's not afraid of the big bad Wolf. Let's have a look a little further up the grid.
Neotig is chewing at the back of Hesselden. Hesselden's actually pulling away on traction now.
Livebry and GBM Beardy making their way around the bomb hole, just as GT Gavin is as well. Actually, I think, no, it was the bomb hole, and now Coram and into Murray's the final corner. I know we didn't talk much.
Sideways, we've got Woolhouse. He's completely lost the rear end of the car there.
It looks like he might have damage on that. It's wiggling all over the place as Richie Davey just drove past him with ease. I think Woolhouse will be making his way into the pits. Either that or he's just struggling in these wet conditions. There is one car in the pits. It wasn't Woolhouse
in the pit.
I wonder
That's
if that.
Very weird.
I'm wondering if that might be for a change of tyres. Driver Montana, he has just passed Dave.
That's very odd. I don't think that was for a change of tyre. It seemed too quick, in and out within a few seconds, that.
Okay, going up to about 6th place. All the drivers are just following each other at the moment, trying to find out where the grip is.
Race leader's gone wide, Beardy's got to run.
Now Live Bry, after his PCF race where he was flipped onto his roof and it destroyed his